We are all waiting for Altseason to happen, but it's just not happening yet, at least. I would like to take a look at the worst case scenario for altcoins and the best case scenario. So I'm not going to tell you in this video that it's going up or down. I'm going to tell you in this video I have no clue what's going to happen in the short term, but we can take a look at the probabilities and the possibilities and make our best bets based on that. Because I think that there is a golden opportunity brewing right now in this crypto space to make a lot of money, because if prices don't go down, you will never be able to buy low. And now prices are down, so we are able to buy low. Now the question is, can we maybe buy even lower? And will it go up? How far can it go up? All these questions that everybody has about the market. So if you feel like I'm gonna like this content, please like the content, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, check out the Patreon down below, and let's get right into it. So one of the most important charts to take a look at, in my opinion, is others. If you have TradingView, type in others and get this chart. If you don't have TradingView, get TradingView. It's very simple, because this is where the information is. Now, others is the total crypto market, the top 125 at least, minus the top 10. So this chart doesn't include Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana. It's more about the mid caps, basically the mid-high caps, right? The low caps, however, they move way more volatile. So if this chart, for example, now is down 40%, your portfolio from the top should be down way more than 40%. Also, if you look at it from the bottom, it's now up 220%. Your portfolio, measured from the bottom at least, should be up way more than that. But this gives us a pretty good overall view on the altcoin market. If we put this on the weekly, you can see altcoins are moving like Bitcoin. Bitcoin has more history, of course, right? Bitcoin is older, but you can see that between the bull and the bear markets that we all have, we always have major macro higher highs and higher lows. The altcoin market, at least the top 125, is not different from that. The thing is, it's more volatile. So where Bitcoin dumps 75% in a bear market, altcoins dump 93%. And like I said, in your actual portfolio, this is way more. But in an alt season and in an altcoin bull market, the upside is also bigger. Where altcoins in general did an 85x, from the bottom to the top, portfolios looked way better than that. Like I said, we're now sitting at a 3x, so we have a long way to go, right? The money is now rotating from altcoins into Bitcoin for a long time already, right? That's what you can see on this chart. This is, I think, the most important chart together with the Bitcoin chart that you can take a look at, because the Bitcoin dominance is suggesting if it is an alt season or Bitcoin season. And it's also kind of suggesting what coin you need to be in, because a lot of people, they like to be in altcoins no matter what. Maybe in a bear market, they'd be like, okay, I'm out of the market. But during the rest of the market, they'd be like, okay, let's gamble our way into altcoins. Well, if you did that over here where the market bottomed, well, that was over here, by the way, where the market bottomed, it was still not a great idea to be in altcoins, because the Bitcoin dominance went up. So although altcoins gone up, it's because Bitcoin went up. Because on their Bitcoin pair, they went down. So it was just better to be in Bitcoin because you had higher returns. And also, like we know, the risk with Bitcoin is lower. I do feel the time to buy altcoins is now/soon. I mean, it's not that this channel is like that this is the top and that this is the bottom, but so far this is playing out, and I like to follow the trend until the end of the trend, right? There's not an end of the trend yet. So what I expect is that the Bitcoin dominance could go up a little more, maybe 57, 58%. Have a wick above it maybe, could also happen, and then come back down. If we really close above it and it keeps on going, yeah, then I have to change that belief. But for now, it's stupid to bet against the trend. So in my opinion, from what I'm looking at, altcoins should not bleed way more against Bitcoin. Like I said, maybe a little push right here, which is still a lot, by the way, don't get me wrong, but not like we have already seen in the last 2.5 years. If we go back at the other chart, I want to start with some doom cases for the altcoin market, because like I said, I want to give the best case scenario, but also the worst case scenario. And by having a worst case scenario in mind, it makes you prepared for the times where we go down. I was in Bitcoin and quite some stables for a long time, and also a lot of altcoins, so I wrote some good bags. But now that it is going down, I noticed that a lot of people are freaking out. Yeah, you freak out because you do not have money to buy the real dips, right? And not these small dips that you see every now and then. No, the 40% corrections on this chart, right? People don't have money for that anymore. Therefore, they're freaking out. I'm fine. I have cash, and now there's a real good correction. Now I am buying, but I'm not fully buying. I'm DCAing. There are also people that like to throw everything at the market right now, and maybe the market does something like this, right? And then these people are the biggest winners. But if the market does something like this, then these people are definitely not the biggest winners. Over the long term, they win, right? Over the long term, being good altcoins, you win 100%. But I'd rather have 1,000 altcoins of like whatever altcoin it might be than 500. And how do you get more? Well, either by throwing more money in it right now, but hey, money is limited, or by buying it lower. And it's always the case. Once, like, here people said, yeah, but we're not going lower, right? And now we're here. Yeah, that's on them, right? And I can, of course, keep on saying that it will go lower, 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 lower. At a certain point, it won't. Of course, at a certain point, we have the bottom, and it might be here. But let's take a look at what the charts are actually saying. Also, I'm now restructuring my portfolio. I wrote all the coins down that I have in an Excel sheet, which I will share soon on the channel. So if you're not a member or subscriber yet, subscribe. You can see my full portfolio, which I'm planning to write into, I assume, multiple millions in the coming bull market. I think it's a solid portfolio, but I'm still working on it. It has too many coins for now, so I need to narrow it down a little bit. In the meantime, give the video a like, man. Would help me a lot. Now, what we can do, and I don't want to be too technical right here, because at the end of the day, the market moves in cycles, right? But you can apply a little technical analysis, like if you put a Fibonacci tool like this, you can see from the top to the bottom, then always the golden zone or the 0.786 is a zone where you get rejected, at least temporary, right? We got to this area, right? Not necessarily not precise, but it shows like, hey, this is doing something. But you can also use this the other way around. If you take it from the bottom of this range until the top of this range, then you can see that we are now bouncing from the 0.5. Okay, that is for now good, but the 0.618 is usually the most tested, and the 0.786 as well. If we apply this with the last market that we had for altcoins, we take it from the bottom to the top. What happened? We went down and we visited the 786 multiple times before we shot up, right? So if this is going to repeat, and this is just one metric, right? But if this is going to repeat, then you see where we could go. Now, apart from the Fibonacci, it does make a lot of sense technically. Why do we say that? Well, we were stuck here for a long time, right? We were bouncing, a lot of resistance. We broke out, but we never retested that level. Usually, you break out from a range and you retest, right? For example, if you look at Bitcoin right here, Bitcoin was in a range, you know, resistance, broke out, retest, up, right? Not every range has to be retested, but that's usually what you get. So if I look at that, I feel like, yeah, it should be a level of retest, which we haven't seen yet. Now, that's, to start, by the way, the absolute doom scenario for altcoins. Why? Well, as you can see, we from the top to where we are right now are down, let's say 40%. But from this level where we are right now until this range, it's around the same number. So If you feel like, okay, I at a certain point had 10K and I now have 3K, yeah, if you lost 60% of your portfolio, actually, then you can maybe prepare mentally to lose another 60, right? That would be the worst case scenario. Now, for the people that are already fully exposed, at least. Because why is this also not a doom case scenario? Very simple. Every cycle, the altcoin market beats its previous all-time high, just like Bitcoin does, right? And I see no reason why we cannot go higher than this. So let's say we go to $1 trillion market cap for the altcoin market. If you buy at this point and you ride it to 1 trillion, you make 3.5x, at least on this chart, right? Your portfolio, again, that's more. But if you ride it from this point until that level, you ride a 7.5x. Yeah, that's a lot more. That's a lot more. So short term, it would suck. And believe me, that people won't believe anymore, right? Everybody will talk about how altcoins are dead. They're already doing it right now in this little correction here, right? And I say little correction, I know things are actually down, some things 80%, but it's not uncommon if you look at how the altcoin market moves sometimes, right? In this cycle right here, we had a correction of 63%, right? That's way more than what we have right now, while it was a parabolic bull market. And that was not the only one. We had it here, we had it here, we had it here, we had it here. It was a lot, okay? So, but overall, if we get here, most people won't have the balls anymore. And that's the reason why prices are so low. If this happens, that would be the only time where I will go all in. Then it's all or nothing. And I think it's going to be all. Now, next, worst case scenario kind of thing is if you look at the halvings, every time for the altcoin market around the halving, here it was after, here it was before, we have a significant drop, okay? A really big drop. Here, right after the halving, we had a drop of 62% from the cycle highs. 62%, right? So if we take this from the cycle highs and we go down 62%, would put us at around that same place what we just discussed. So it kind of lines up, right? Here it was before the halving. And I know COVID crash, nevertheless it happened. 73%, right? And even without COVID, it was from the top here until the bottom right here, was again 60%. So we can all say like, yeah, but it was COVID, it's not gonna, again, without COVID, 60%, right? So if we do not fall with at least 60% this cycle, then this time is different. Yeah, I don't know. You find your reasons why this time is different again. But that has never made anybody rich by saying that this time is different. Never really worked out. So that's another kind of worst case scenario that I can see happen. Now, another one, if you apply the bull market support band, this is a very good indication of one of the most important moving averages there is. If you are above the bull market support band, it basically gives you support in a bull market and it drives the price up, right? And in a bear market, it's more of a bear market resistance band. You can see every time we get to that level, we get a fat correction, get to that level, fat correction, get to that level, fat correction. Now, in a bull market, you can also go below it, as you can see right now. As you see, in 2019, we went way above it, right? We went from the bottom for altcoins, from the bear market bottom to the top, up with 340%. Isn't it kind of what we are seeing right now as well? From the bull market, bear market bottom until the top, we went up 430%, right? It's not like that different. We had a big run up, but still after that we fell, right? And what I noticed is that from this point, from the bull market support band until the lower levels, we went down with 28%, give or take. In this bull market also, we went up before we had the big correction, and you know, during the big correction we were around 20% below the bull market support band. If we look where we are right now, so that's 27, 20, so that's, I don't know, 23 on average, give or take. If you look where we are right now, we're now sitting at 11, right? 11% below the bull market support band. If we do the average, then we would sit 24, give or take, around this level, 194 billion, right? So that's another level that I am looking at, right? And again, this is not me saying like, hey guys, we get to these levels. Definitely not. But I just want to look at multiple indicators that tell me like, hey, if we are going down, what should we prepare for, right? Because now a lot of people finally witness what it's like to think that it's, only going up. Well, that's not how it works. It's not up only. It's definitely also down. And once going down, it goes down hard. Right? You can see it with these individual altcoins as well, that even especially the low caps, they bleed really, really, really hard, right? They all go down like not with 40%, no, with 93% from the cycle high. To put it a little in perspective, 93% from the cycle high. This is what some altcoins did, right? What if Bitcoin did that? 93%, that would have put Bitcoin at around 5K. That's literally what altcoins just did in the last couple of months. It's terrible, right? So, yeah, why is it so crazy to think that it could go down a little more to 97% or so, right? That's give or take this area then, what you get. So these are a couple of indicators that show like, hey, if altcoins fall, one indicator says this, two indicators, give or take, say this. Right? This is a major area, of course. You can see the support right here that we had. You can see the same place which turned into resistance right here. Support, resistance, and I think it's actually more like this in that case, give or take, right? And then this huge area. So this is a major critical area for altcoins. Now, again, what could happen in order for this to take place? I think we have to go back to the Bitcoin dominance, right? Why did altcoins fall so hard since March? So extremely hard since March. If you look at the Bitcoin dominance, what happened right here since March? Well, it went up a little bit, right? But because it went up just a little bit, it's a tick, right? Compared to this whole move. But because it went up while Bitcoin was going down a little bit, that already destroyed altcoins. It completely destroyed altcoins. So what do you think will happen if we don't get such a little tick, but we actually go to the upside of this range while Bitcoin is taking another good hit, right? Wherever that might be. Maybe lower 50s. It could happen. Maybe on a wick base. I'm not saying that we should stay there for a long time, but that could be the reason, right? Altcoins going down. People are freaking out. They feel like, okay, maybe I should convert my altcoins into Bitcoin, which is way too late right now, but people are doing it. But these altcoins are not worth as much as what they used to be. So not a lot of money is going into Bitcoin nowadays. And therefore Bitcoin is also going down because there's more sell than buy pressure right now. It's just how the market moves. Some people, they like to ask like, what's the narrative? Cycle is the narrative in my opinion. And this is kind of what we're looking at, right? Altcoins on their Bitcoin pair. This is kind of the Bitcoin dominance, but in a different sort of chart, basically. And here we exclude USDT, but you can see that this was the upside of the range. So if altcoins are, if the chart is here, then it's an alt season, basically. And if we are here, then it's Bitcoin season. Now, what we are looking at is kind of similar to what we saw over here, right? Where we went down, we got stuck in this range for a year, and then we broke down. Also here, we got down, stuck in a range for a year, and now it looks like we are breaking down. Yeah, again, if Bitcoin is just sneezing while that happens, then altcoins are getting absolutely wrecked on the Bitcoin pair, on the dollar pair as well. Now, I would like to show you something that I just found, and which is quite interesting. This is the others, again, right? The altcoin market. Was the altcoin market close to its previous high? Not really, right? We still had 32% to go, which was a pretty big move, but we didn't. However, if you look at altcoins on the money supply, so what this is actually worth, because the dollar is worth less. So yeah, altcoins go up, but we need to, because the dollar is worth less, right? So $1,000 right here is worth less than $1,000 right here. Now, if you look at others on the money supply, then this is what you get, right? We were just 20% away from the all-time high, and it kind of looks like, yeah, somewhat of a triple top right here. So I don't know, this is quite an interesting chart. If you look at it like this, altcoins were going up, and basically since January 2018 we cannot really seem to break this level. And every time we got here from this level, so far at least, the first big drawdown was 95%, the second big drawdown was 84%, and the current drawdown is 38%. I don't know what to say about that. I just want to show you. Now the next one, if it's a good or a bad thing, I'm gonna leave that in the middle because it goes both ways and it depends a little bit, do we have a recession or not? But the federal rate cuts. If you look for the altcoin market, how altcoins so far responded to rate cuts, well, this is the only place where we have seen that. First time they were cutting rates, the altcoin market dropped like a bomb. But the second time, to come out of a recession, basically, it skyrocketed. Now, something that has more history, of course, is the S&P. And if you take a look at the S&P, you know, rate cuts up, rate cuts up, rate cuts down, rate cuts up, down. It goes all ways, right? So it should have a big impact on the altcoin market. The direction, it's not really my field, to be honest. Therefore, I'd rather leave this one in the middle. Also, one shorter term thing that may be a little concerning for the bulls is the fact that the USDT dominance is now again in an uptrend for a long time, right? As you can see right here, it's in an uptrend. And we just bounced off of that level. Now, if we look at where the big resistance is, that looks to me like this area where I've drawn the line. We had huge resistance, we had support right here, we had big support right here. We're getting there, and it looks to be the next resistance level. But from this point, that's still a 10% upwards move. If you look over the last 3 weeks alone, it was 12%, give or take. So that's around the same number. So if you compare the last 3 weeks to the altcoin market, what happened in the last 3 weeks, we went down quite hard. So therefore, we should be able to see such another move. And in the last 3 weeks, from the point where we came until where we are right now, is down 16%. Now, if people now put the same amount of money out of altcoins into USDT, the altcoin market will drop more, of course, than what it did earlier, because altcoins are now lower. So let's say it's not going to be 16%, but 20 or something like that. Then we are, coming close to this area right here already. So multiple things line up that we can come down, and that if we come down, we can come down pretty nasty. Of course, it doesn't feel that way because, hey, we have a weekly green candle of 3%. We're going back, right? That's not how it works. Also, if we do take a look at the altcoin market, but not others, like we saw on TradingView, because others doesn't include the top 10. Well, we can include the top 10, but then minus Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stable coins. So then this is the complete actual altcoin market. And as you can see right here, we have major resistance at around $300 billion for the altcoin market. We are currently sitting at 489, right? So if we have to drop to 300, that's quite the difference. That's a 38% decrease. And if we take a 38% decrease on this chart, then it also brings us here, okay? So again, I'm not saying that this will happen, right? But I'm just looking at many different things and see like, hey, what do they tell? And these all line up saying that, hey, if we go down, then these levels are actually pretty common, right? And not to, again, right? We had dips in this bull market of, like I said, 63%, but also this correction right here, which just lasted a couple of weeks, to be honest, 51%. And we even had these weekly wicks, right? Which went down 40%. Then we had another pretty nasty correction of 64%. And we had another correction of 50%, right? These were all over the place. And we look at the market right now, And we so far have a 38% correction. So, I mean, if we now do get a correction towards these levels, that's, yeah, from the top, the very top, that's a 50-60% correction. That would be actually more than common. So, I want to make it clear, guys. I'm not saying this will happen. But if you're saying that it can't happen, then you should take a look at these charts again, because it's very normal, and it happened like 6 times in one single bull market. Yeah, I don't really see a reason why it cannot happen once in this bull market. Okay, so these were the downsides, right? It's not one chart, it's not 2, 3, it's many different things, and I bet that there's more than I see right here, right now, but indicating that we could go down to these levels. However, there are also multiple things that say like, yeah, you know what, things are not that bad. One thing, very simple, the 4-year cycle. Now, I must say the 4-year cycle plays out because of the macro conditions, and the macro conditions now are definitely not exactly the same as 4 years ago. They are more similar than 2019, to 2019. But if we ignore that, because we don't want to look at narratives, that's for like, don't trade narratives, trade charts, right? That's like the best thing, in my opinion, that we can do. And if we do take a look at the 4-year cycle, it's very simple. It's June 2024. How did stuff look in June 2020? Well, it was here, right? Now, I want to make it clear that this looks completely different than this, right? One thing that's already different, of course, is that we were here sitting at the cycle peak, like we did over here. And here, we were breaking that. Here, we are like 40% down, right? So the chart isn't the same, of course. Time-wise, it is the same. And if we look at time-wise, we might be sitting right before the big blow-off that the altcoin market could actually have. So that's one. Second thing is altcoins follow Ethereum more than Bitcoin. Why? Because Ethereum is an altcoin. And if we do take a look at Ethereum on its Bitcoin pair, yes, it is falling hard. It is not looking good for the last 2.5 years. However, it is showing some strength right now. I want to see higher highs, so it's not 100% confirmed yet. But we are now finally showing strength, like, hey, this trend we want to break out. Right here also we want to break out, and we are giving it another try right now. Also, this support level right here, we bounced off of it perfectly right here. We bounced off of it here. So it could be that Ethereum is on the verge of a breakout. What could the narrative be? An Ethereum ETF, maybe, right? That could be the narrative for that. So that's something that I'm cautious positive about. Another positive thing is if you take a look at others, but not others, but the others' dominance, and you draw this parallel channel, it's not perfect, right? We have a wick here, but other than that, it goes all the way back here where it started as resistance in 2014, right? 10 years ago. Since then, we came into this pattern, and what did we do? Support, resistance, 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 support, support, resistance, resistance, perfect support, and we now came quite damn close to that support as well, right? So if you look at it like that, whether we really test this support once again or not, eventually we will get to that resistance area, or at least close to it, right? But for the last 7 years, we did that, right? So we could definitely do that again. If anything, while looking at this chart, I'd be like, okay, you know, if this is how altcoins apparently move, then I should not be too bearish on altcoins for the long term. Next up, here we go again. The Bitcoin dominance, right? Again, if this channel is intact, then like I said, we might see a little push to the upside, but overall, that doesn't mean anything compared to this push to the downside. We had 2 alt seasons in crypto so far. The very biggest one that we will ever get, of course, because there were basically no altcoins. Here in 2021 as well, during, IDO season, the NFT hype whatsoever, and also not that much altcoins as right now. And our third one looks like it is coming, in my opinion, kind of end of the year. Multiple videos, I explained why I think that. And don't get me wrong, for the people that are on Twitter, I see it more often, like the biggest alt season ever is coming. I can already tell you this will by far be the smallest alt season ever. Nevertheless, it will be huge, right? Because I don't know if you were here and remember this, or maybe even here, this was abnormal. This was really opening your Binance app, buy, and a couple of months later you're sitting at 100x. It's not gonna happen this time. But riding a very decent, nice alt season right here with quality gems should be no problem. Now, this one is a little bit of a combination between Bitcoin and altcoins, because we know that altcoins do well if Bitcoin does well. If we look at the last cycle, I don't want to make this too long, but this is probably one of the best indicators that I can give you. If you look at the last cycle, here, Bitcoin made its all-time high. And we struggled for a while in December 2020, and then we broke. What did altcoins do in December 2020? Well, if you go back to that time, you can see that December 2020 altcoins were sitting here, right? So Bitcoin broke its all-time high, and altcoins, they went up, but not close to their previous all-time high yet. Altcoins broke their all-time high here in end of January 2021. If you look end of January 2021, that was here. And that's where Bitcoin was sitting around 35, 40K. So Bitcoin was twice as high almost as the previous all-time high before altcoins even made a new all-time high. So why is that bullish? Because Bitcoin is going to crush its all-time high. Very simple. If you look, and this is one indicator again, but this is super bullish if you ask me, the production cost for Bitcoin, the red line, this is what it costs to mine a Bitcoin, right? If the Bitcoin price is lower than what it costs to mine a Bitcoin, what do you think the miners are going to do? They will stop mining because it's not worth it. So therefore, you can see in Bitcoin's full freaking history that Bitcoin never went below the production cost. A wick here and there, but that's it. It never went below the production cost. The production cost is currently sitting at the price where we are right now, 60K. So if you ask me, this could be the floor price for Bitcoin. It could go to 59, of course. These wicks, like I said, this area could be the floor price for Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin cannot go down, of course it can go down, don't get me wrong, but if it didn't happen in the last 15 years, then I don't think it's likely that it will happen in the coming 2 months, right? Matter of possibilities, if you ask me. So if Bitcoin won't go down, it can of course go sideways like this, but it's not XRP, right? It's not XRP, it's Bitcoin. So it's likely to eventually go up and crush its all-time high. And whenever Bitcoin crushes its all-time high, the altcoin market responds very well to that. So that's, in my opinion, super bullish. Also, if you, this is maybe a little too far-fetched, but if you look at my beautiful drawing, what is this? A cup and handle, right? Could be what's playing out on the altcoin market on a really huge time frame, right? We have the cup, we started to go down to make the handle and then fly. Hey, I'm not much a fan of patterns, but it won't be the first time it worked out, right? In the last market, we saw kind of the same. We saw the cup, we saw the handle, and we flew, right? We're now actually seeing the same pattern. Very simple. Also, that's not what I came for, but that's just what I noticed. If you look, altcoins all-time high, way above it. Altcoins all-time high, way above it. Doesn't look like much, but this was a lot, all right? Now, altcoins all-time high. I'm not saying that we will go way above it, but even if we get to, like I said, just 1 trillion, right? That's diminishing. Hey, that's 4 times as high as where we are right now. And again, that's 4 times in your actual portfolio, that's going to be a lot more. Now, something else is the monthly stochastic RSI. This is a momentum indicator, and we were pretty overbought on the altcoin market. And we are now coming down quite nicely, which is looking actually pretty good to me. So we are now in the downwards trend right here. The stochastic RSI is kind of already halfway. That's pretty bullish if you ask me. If you look at this market right here, we were also very overbought and we came down halfway as well. And that just only gave us this push down before that next huge leg up. And something similar could definitely play out. I don't see any logic assuming that, we will do this, right? Very simple also, but this goes with the 4-year cycle. Why don't I see that play out? Well, because it wouldn't make sense. We have the top end of 2017, right? For Bitcoin, altcoins responded a month later. And we had the top end of 2021. On Bitcoin, we have another cycle as extra data. And they say 2 times doesn't make a trend. 3 times does. Well, Bitcoin gives us that 3 times, and we know that altcoins are following Bitcoin. We all know that if Bitcoin end of 2025 tops out maybe at 250k or so, that altcoins are not at the bottom. So all of a sudden they go with it, right? So that could only suggest that end of 2025 altcoins should top. Whatever happens in the meantime is a buying opportunity. It's not that we will never go higher than where we are right now. Very simple. I can, I dare to stick my dick in the fire for that. And did I say that? Okay, maybe I don't, but I'm pretty sure. Also, this chart right here, if this was an altcoin, I would not buy it. Okay, what you see in this chart is that this chart is going down. It makes a high, it makes a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and we have a low, we have a lower low, lower low, lower low. I have to give it, we made a higher low right here. But as long as it's this fresh, it could be a dead cat bounce. If this was an altcoin, because it kind of looks like Hex or whatever, this is not really looking good. Now, what is this? This is the altcoin market inverted, right? So if you revert it, then this is what you get. So actually, this is a big ass uptrend, very simple. And the last thing I want to mention in this video, what is most bullish of everything, while Bitcoin is sitting quite close to its all-time high, while the altcoin market, although it bled for the last couple of 3 months, is still looking pretty bullish. This is all happening during the fact that retail is completely out of the market. Last couple of days it has a spike, but if we look at this chart, it's going down quite hard. So nobody is paying attention. Retail is not here. Your neighbor's probably not talking about crypto. Your hairdresser, I don't know what these people say. I'm bald as fuck, but nobody is talking about crypto. I tried not to laugh to make it look funnier, but this was actually just pretty funny, right? I mean, come on. Nobody cares. No new people are looking at YouTube videos. No new people are subscribing to YouTube channels. So subscribe to this channel if you haven't done already. Would like it a lot, please. Please. But while nobody is here, the market is going up. So can you imagine what happens if people get in? And the question should not be, will people get in? Of course, here prices were low. Nobody was there. Here prices were low. Nobody was there. And it all went up and everybody stepped in after prices went parabolic, right? So what do we need? Bitcoin to blast through its all-time high. That's all we need. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Smack that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. I'll see you very soon. And let me know, what are your thoughts? More bearish or bullish? Or in the middle? All right, bye.